For the kettlebell swing, we'll begin by setting our body up about 1 foot to 1.5 feet behind the kettlebell. That first swing from the floor is going to be so critical to setting up the hips to develop force for that powerful forward motion of the movement. For the duration of the rest of the swings that you're producing, you're actually going to be going from a full standing position to a bent hip position, very similar to what we do with our deadlifts, but the kettlebell is not going to return to the ground. A couple things to pay close attention to. First one, paying attention to the hip action. Make sure that when that kettlebell is swinging back behind you, the spine is not rounding. We want to make sure from the shoulders to the hips stays nice and neutral. We want to make sure all that power is coming from here so that you're bending at the hips. Also, when you let that kettlebell swing back, you should be hitting the outside of your forearm, should be hitting the inside of your legs. That kettlebell should not be swinging down here. One, it's a little unsafe, and two, it's quite inefficient when trying to produce force. Overall, with the kettlebell swing, all we're trying to do is move that kettlebell in a horizontal pattern, backwards to forwards, backwards to forwards. Make sure that as you pull it back for that back swing, you're actively pulling back on that kettlebell rather than just kind of like letting it go back and then trying to pull it forward. The harder and faster you pull back on this kettlebell, the more powerful you're going to drive forward. Your body is really only moving from a bent hip position to a standing position. That's all you're doing, bent hip to standing. At the top of each movement, powerfully stand up, squeeze your glutes, and drive that kettlebell forward as if you're trying to throw it. Obviously, you don't want to let go of it, but that's the idea. When we set up, we're going to be about 1.5 feet behind it. Feet are shoulder width apart. That kettlebell is centered on my body. Toes are straight ahead, heels are down. I'm going to set up my knees and hips. I'm going to bend at the knees and hips by spreading the floor apart with the feet, driving the knees out, butt back, keeping a nice flat neutral spine. Now I'm in this low athletic stance. From here, I'm going to reach out with both hands, wrap my thumb and fingers around. I'm going to tilt that kettlebell back. Once I tilt it back, I'm going to bend the handle backwards, screwing my shoulder into my upper back. Now I'm in a good starting position. I'm going to take in a belly breath. The very first thing I'm going to do while I maintain this flat neutral posture, I'm going to swing that kettlebell back powerfully and then stand up, extending the knees and hips. Again, as I swing back, I'm powerfully swinging back, keeping the outside of my forearms to the inside of my legs. Make sure your whole body, or your head rather, moves with your spine as you tilt forward, as opposed to keeping your head up. We want to avoid hyperextending the neck. Let it swing back. Notice I'm really not going any higher than my belly. I'm keeping my upper arms pinned tight to my rib cage as opposed to just kind of letting it fly up. This I kind of see as a lazy swing. Keep them pinned tight, stand up tall. Once you're done, lower it back behind you, hinge at the hips, and lower it to the ground in almost a modified reverse deadlift. That's how you do the kettlebell swing. A quick note on the kettlebell swing. Breathing is so important, and yet breathing become all messed up with the swing, especially because it's such a dynamic movement. And after a few reps, it starts to require some oxygen. During the back swing, we're inhaling powerfully, using our diaphragm at the base of our rib cage. And on the way out, from the moment it hits the center of the hips, we're powerfully exhaling, driving that force forward, and then repeating. I'll show you real quick. Bend at the knees and hips, spread the floor apart with the feet, drive the knees out, butt back, grab the center of the handle, tilt it back, bend that handle, belly breath, swing behind the hips. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Of course, you can find a rhythm of breathing that works best for you, but that's definitely a good starting point. Try not to overthink it, but just know that inhaling on the way down, and when that kettlebell swings back, is going to allow your body to brace and contract and prepare for that powerful hip and leg extension, which is where you can exhale. That's how you breathe for the kettlebell swing.